Hello, Look Mum No Computer here, and today we're going to be looking at this thing that is covered in bubble wrap. Oh, that is pretty damn amazing. This turned up the other day and I'm very, very excited to get it plugged in. It looks incredible. So this is a sound art piece built by an artist called Eirik Brandal, and it's pretty damn amazing. I'm proper chuffed. So the story began a few months back when I reached out to Eirik and asked if he wanted to put something together for the museum. And this is what he came up with. So you'll notice there isn't any circuit boards. All of these little rods create the circuit, and it also at the same time creates a sculpture. This kind of method of building has been popularized by the likes of Peter Vogel. Eirik also mentions to check out Walter Gears and Alain Leboucher as well. However, this has got Eirik's twist on it, and it's damn amazing. So this piece was built specifically with the museum in mind. I said to Eirik, build anything that's musical as long as it's wall mounted and protected from, little fingers. It's got a multi-tiered case. The inside section is slightly raised compared to the outside sections, which is a nice little touch to it all. And it looks to have the power and digital system on this side, and then the rest of the analog circuitry is sat over here, as well as a nice little D-beam. Of course, everything needs a D-beam. This thing is wall mounted and it has holes at the top inside the enclosure. In fact, he writes about it in his letter. As for mounting it in the wall part, there are holes in the back plate, and the idea is that you remove the two front panels on either side of the speaker plate and screw the whole thing onto the wall before reattaching the front panels. While this mounting system doesn't instill a lot of confidence, I did a test on it and it seems to work as long as you don't breathe. I guess you don't want to get condensation on the inside. He also mentions to give it a good thorough checking before turning it on first time. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the two front panels off and have a closer look. So over on this side we have a Meanwhile power supply, and this is fed by the mains, which comes through the enclosure right at the bottom here. It's obviously an EU plug. I think I'm just going to cut the plug off and replace this, or find a travel adapter. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. All of the power supply comes out onto this strip board down here, and as you can see, this has got the inputs, and it's also got a 5-volt power supply for, I'm guessing, the digital aspect of this circuit. And on the back of this protoboard, you will see the neatest job of soldering on a protoboard I think I've ever seen. That's pretty damn amazing. And this sends the power to the separate power rails, which look to be these ones. And then these ones on the top seem to be coming from the digital lines on the Arduino, which is over here. So the wires from the Arduino come over to this section of the circuit. It's powering and also receiving information from the D-beam controller. This is the means of interacting with the whole of this device. So I guess it's a proximity sort of thing. I don't actually fully know the actual function of this item because I haven't turned it on yet, so I'm guessing that's what it is. Next to the D-beam are these three MCP4822 digital to analog converters, and these are the talking points between the bus that comes from the Arduino, and it looks to be some buses that go up to the analog circuits above it. You'll see the outputs of the digital to analog converters are going over to this bus down here that seems to be going off to 3 separate areas of the circuit. These buses don't seem to connect to the circuit that is above, which is around an LM384, and I'm guessing, I could be wrong, but I'm guessing this is the amplifier circuit for the speaker. Having quickly had a look, that seems to be the case. The bottom one of this bus seems to go over to the speaker, and it comes from this circuit. The fatter cables seem to be the power bus, and the rest of them seem to be signal buses. However, the bus that comes from the DAC comes over to this point, and then goes up and gets split off over to these two sections above. This first section is around an AS3320, which is a chip that is basically an all-in-one filter. It's the same filter that is used in the Game Boy Mega Machine. The larger cables are plus and minus 12 volts, I'm guessing, and ground in the middle. These other two wires down here are coming from the digital to analog converter that's down here. So these are controlling the filter, and then I'm guessing maybe this cable coming over here is actually the signal coming from this section up to here, and then this is fed via this resistor into the amplifier. After that, we have this section right here, which is getting fed the rest of the cables from the digital to analog converter bus, which goes up here, over to there, into here. And this has got two Alpha 3340 chips that are basically voltage controlled oscillators. So these two oscillators are being controlled, I'm guessing, by the DAC. And then over here is a dual VCA chip. So there's two oscillators, two VCAs, and a filter. It looks like potentially the oscillators go into the VCA, and then the VCA goes into the filter. So the VCAs are before the filter which gets fed into here. The D-beam is going over this bus and talking to the Arduino. The Arduino does its Arduino-y things and then sends information over to these digital to analog converters, which then gets sent over to this bus, which is underneath the amplifier, and this sends signals up to these two parts of the circuit. This being a dual oscillator, dual VCA circuit, and this circuit being a filter. You can see they're being split off. So this circuit does its thing. It gets mixed together and gets traveled down this wire right here into the filter. The filter does its thing, and then it travels through this resistor right here and into the amplifier circuit, which gets pushed over to the speaker. And then I'm guessing that's it. But we won't really know until we actually turn this thing on and see what it actually does. Whoa. Oh. The second you interact with it, it interacts back at you, like you put your hand in front and it does its thing. And the other good thing is when it's not actually being touched or used, it's not doing anything. So it's only going to work when somebody comes and puts their hand in front of it. The notes it plays has got a really quite a neoclassical sort of Wendy Carlos kind of vibe to it. Obviously it is relatively random. I don't know what the code is in there. Each of these DACs are dual DACs and they're sending out control voltages to what seems to be the cutoff frequency, the resonance, the pitch of both oscillators, and also the opening of both VCOs for both oscillators. All of these seem to change at different times. So now it's tested and we figured out what it does. We've got to get it put onto the wall, which is probably going to be the scariest part about this. So it's now mounted to the wall. I need to neaten up the power supply cable, but I was going to put in some conduit, some metal conduit, but I haven't got a right angle bend, so I'll have to do that at a later date. But, you know, I'll make sure it's done to make it look neat, because it sort of spoils it with having just a dangly cable. So I'm just going to make it go off with a nice big burly metal conduit. Ugh. The thing that I love about sound sculptures like this is nothing is really hidden. If you just looked at this long enough, you could figure out the schematic of it. There's nothing hidden around the back with extra traces. Okay, maybe here and here a little bit, but all of the analog circuitry around here, it's just all in front of you, exactly what is working and functioning. And every time I look at it, I see something new. For instance, I didn't notice these little decoupling capacitors on the side of all the power rails. Like, how cool is that? It's really cool attention to kind of like function and form. And Eirik's attention to detail is pretty phenomenal. I don't think I could do something like this. My sort of method of creating things is somewhat agricultural compared to this. Mine is like a bolt it together, make it work. It looks a bit burly and a bit beefy, and its whole aesthetic is being a little bit rugged. This dances the line between delicate and quite hard wearing. It's just really, really quite an awesome piece. So before we let it play out the end of this video, I wanted to thank the Southeast Creatives Grant Scheme for funding a third of it, and then the rest of it, thank you very much to my Patreon supporters for letting us commission such a thing for the museum. It's amazing, and thank you for the support. Thanks a lot to Eirik. If you want to read more and look more into him, then there's information and links below in the description. So it's sort of really shaping up with the loan of the owl organ from the Nervous Squirrel, from the Chizkieski's solar panel, and now this. If you have any other ideas of what I should try and track down, then please comment below some ideas. Anyway, I've been Luke Mum No Computer. Today we're in the museum of everything else. If you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe, and yeah, don't be scared to try it. Anyway, Plubee, take it away.
Yeah.